girl, say yeah!
Look at that big, juicy booty.
Hot like a tamale!
Be offended.
Do you love black people?
Negro.
You know the thing.
Here, next.
Don't be rude.
You ain't black.
Shawn Cav.
You're going to have a flame coming out of your butthole.
Heartfelt.
A man and a woman.
Hey guys, welcome. If you guys want to join in some conversation we're going to be having just a little bit, feel free to send a request, and we can all chat along. It's just pretty casual today. We're going to just do some conversations about like some current events that have been going on, and for politics, pop culture, you know, and just whatever's been going on during the week. Good to see you guys. Let's see, welcome Jonah. And let's see here. Yeah, feel free to go ahead and request, because like I said, we're just waiting for a couple of people to get in here that I know want to end up talking, but you know, you guys are more than welcome to as well. All right, hey, we got Ian. Ian's requested to come on up. You're here, you're in, and then let me just bump you up if I can. I forget how to do that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's going on, dude? How you doing, man?
Hey, welcome.
How's life?
Life's crazy. Yeah, I just sent you my invite for that.
Sweet.
Now we're all set.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah, these things are so rough to kind of get started in the very beginning, because it's just me sitting in the room, and then you know, I got a couple of people coming in here ready to listen, and I'm just like, yeah, well, if you guys want to join and talk with me, I mean, by all means, but otherwise, you're just gonna listen to me wait for Ian to get here.
No, I don't know you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll talk to anybody, and yeah. So I mean, like, this past week was just nuts for me, just with the traveling. I mean, like, I'm in Pennsylvania, but you know, this past week I just spent it down in like Tennessee and Kentucky for work, and you know, just some of the. I mean, it's always kind of like cool experiences getting to, you know, meet and talk to different people when I go and travel to different areas, and you know, I'll just go and I'll hang out at a bar and I'll just start talking to everybody until somebody really catches my interest, and then like we'll just start shooting the shit, and then we'll end up going to like bounce around different bars and this and that. That's typically what I end up doing, and I think it was a Thursday night.
So you're the drunk guy at the end of the bar that just talks to the wall until someone starts talking to you?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what podcasting is. You know, like I'll
exactly.
Hey, oh, thank you for joining me. Welcome to my neighboring bar stool. I'm going to share a story with you real quick, and you're gonna sit there, you're gonna laugh, and then you're gonna take your beer and your pizza, and you're gonna keep on going. And that's where our paths stop crossing. That's fine. There's a small little intersection there where I get to entertain you.
Yeah. Okay, real quick. So talking about that. Wait. You finish what you were saying, and then I'll bring I'll bring this back up. Okay, so you're at the bar and you're.
Oh yeah. So I'm at this point. I'm in Johnson City, Tennessee. It's like as far east Tennessee as you can possibly go, and I'm over there, and I'm at this like pretty cool, like, I don't know, it's like a hip bar or whatever like that. I'm hanging out there, and this one guy comes in, and it turns out he's like the chef or the head chef for basically every single restaurant in the city. So he creates the menus, creates all of the food items, and like he's traveled all around like the globe, essentially learning different food, like, I don't know, procedures.
Yeah. Okay.
Operations, how to operate in the kitchen. So like, I was like, okay, so I was just bullshit with him about that for a while. He introduces me to this really awesome drink that I've never had before, which I fell in love with, and I tried to make it at home. It just didn't. It wasn't the same. It's a gin and tonic with Tabasco sauce.
Well, that's where you're wrong with gin. Ugh.
No, not at all.
Dude, gin, it tastes like fucking Christmas trees to me. It's just like Batman's cologne, dude. Like, it's It's fucking disgusting.
You
Ever
think
since I was younger.
You think Batman tastes like gin? Is that what
I
you're
think
saying?
Batman's cologne tastes like gin. Okay? This has been something that I have thought since I was 18. I mean 21.
Well, okay. So,
But anyways, go ahead.
Getting past the fact that you don't like gin, this was an awesome drink. I was really digging it, and he introduced me to it. He was like, he bought me like a couple of rounds, and then we're buying rounds back and forth for each other. And then he's like, "Hey, so there's this brewery over here next door. Let's go over there and grab some wings and something." Yeah, sure, I'm down. So we go next door, and we get like an outdoor table, and we're sitting there. And, get like a couple of beers and shots and like an order of wings. And, conversation's still going pretty good. He starts bringing up like politics. And he says to me, "I don't like politics." I'm like, so I immediately replied, "We don't have to talk politics if you don't want to." And then he starts going on about like Roe v. Wade. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And yeah. It's not that he was like disagreeing at all. He had a pretty like, sensible like stance on the whole thing, but the guy got so drunk so fast. And like me being a functional alcoholic, I was drinking him under the table. And I didn't realize how drunk this guy had gotten at this point. He was just like starting to slur, like, and then he was losing his balance, and then he's just like, I gotta go. Like, yeah, you have to leave. Okay. Like, yeah, I need to leave right now. And he like stumbled up out of his chair, fell back into like the glass wall, and then then he took off. He gave me like a high five. He's like, "It was great talking to you." I'm like, wait a second, this guy's like taking off and not paying for the fucking bill. Like he's stiffing me on the fucking bill. But I'm like, what a dick. Yeah, but like it was just hitting me. I must have been a little buzzed at the time to be like, because like it hit me that I didn't say anything, and then after he was like about like, I don't know, 15, 20 feet away from the table, I'm like, this guy's not coming back.
Yeah, you're like, shit.
Like, like, oh shit. And the waitress comes out and she's like, "Where'd the other guy go?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think he got too drunk to hang out with me."
Yeah, it's like some people just can't hang. Like I mean, to be completely honest, I would at this point probably be real close to that guy, because I haven't drank, heavily, or except for a drink here or there, whatever. But I used to be able to drink like crazy when I lived in Austin. I was working in the bars and stuff. But now, yeah, I would probably, after a good couple of drinks, I'd probably like sit there and be like, "Oh shit, I'm hammered. Like I probably shouldn't say any more things, especially to this person that I don't know right now. And then I'm going to say something stupid, and then I'm going to have to get myself out of that situation."
No, I totally understand. The thing is, you can filter brain like ready to go, like almost like subconsciously, like on this subconscious level where you can like know where to draw the line, or if you just don't give a fuck and you're just like, whatever. If they don't like me, they leave. Like whatever.
I for the most part, I'm in the I don't give a fuck lane until it's too late, and then I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that, and then I'm like, well,
no. See, I'll live in the regret the next day. Like the day of, I'll be like, fuck it, and then the next day, like, I really shouldn't have said that or whatever. But for the most part, I'm pretty good at like filtering out the nonsense. But like sometimes I can't help it. At the same time, it's like I don't know these people, so then it's like, if I leave and I didn't make any friends, I left with just as many friends as I had before.
Yeah, it's kind of like I forgot who. I was watching a podcast. I think I was watching Bert Kreischer, and he was doing his like Bertcast or whatever, and it's a bunch of comedians and whatever, and they were all talking about the difference between like, because I think they had like a porn star on their episode, so it was like Bert Kreischer, Shane Gillis, Mark Norman, Big J Okerson, like all a bunch of like pretty funny dudes, and then I think Nikki Glaser. I don't know if I'm saying any names that you recognize.
Yeah, no, I recognize names. I'm just letting you talk.
Okay, no, that's fine. The Twitter Spaces is interesting too, because like you start talking and it's 5 seconds after, someone said something, but yeah. So they had some porn star on there who I guess is a DJ now. asking her questions, like, you know, like, well, and it came up about being like rough with a partner, you know, like a little bit of choking or a little bit, you know, this, whatever. And like a bunch of them were saying like if it's someone that I like care about and that I like, it's weird to me to like talk dirty and like do all this extra stuff or whatever. But if it's someone that I don't know, and if it's just like a one night stand kind of thing, then it's like, I'm never gonna fucking see this person again.
Yeah,
like,
you could be degrading. Whatever. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they were like, and a couple of them were like, no, like if it's someone that I don't know, I don't like. And I mean, I get it with like the Me Too stuff and like being a dude. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. They might, you know, like. They were like, yeah, I've had a couple of girls like hit me, like punch me, and like a bunch were like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I don't know you. I don't know your intentions. I'm not just gonna punch you in the fucking mouth. Like,
there was a comedian at one point. I forget which one it was. It's like one of these like late night specials where they said like, you know, when you're with somebody new that you don't know, that's your chance to try something new. Because you'll never get that same opportunity again with somebody that you are with for a long period of time. Because if you pull some crazy new move or some crazy new like position or something, they're like, where the fuck did you learn that from?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's teaching you this stuff?
Yeah, you just like 6 months later after you've been with this person, are like, why did you just pull that one out of the hat?
So it turns out I really like this. I didn't know until last week.
Yeah, and I mean, I can understand, like, maybe, you know, people are different, so maybe some people just don't come out of their shell or, you know, like, whatever, so after a while, they're like, okay, I feel comfortable with this person to kind of show them what a fucking degenerate I am, and then now, like, you can see that, you know, I like being choked in a ball, you know what I mean? Like, some, like, weird shit, but, like...
Well, whatever you're into, Ian, that's totally up to you, but, like, you know, I'm not going to judge you for that.
Yeah, you know, furries and ball gags, that's for sure me.
Well, I get it.
I'm a degenerate, but I'm not that big of a degenerate. But no, it was just a funny conversation, and then kind of related, but not. There was another video that I saw like just before I came on here, and there was this chick who I guess was on TikTok, which I know we're already getting into, you know, mental illness territory talking about that app, but it was some chick who said that she went over for like a first date with some dude, went in the house, and then when she came into the house, like, oh, meet me here, and then you know, I'm almost ready, and then we'll go. And then so she sat in there for 45 minutes and waited because he like let her into the house and then went into his room for 45 minutes. And then so she made like a TikTok like, I've been here for 45 minutes and he's just in his room. And then later commented, yeah, I'm going to stay here for another 30 minutes. And if he doesn't come out, then I'm going to leave. And so, and then, you know, people on there like, oh, what happened? Like, blah, blah, blah. And so she made another one, like, you know, an hour later or whatever, and said, so basically what happened is I was there for 45 minutes and then I opened the door to like tell him, hey, I'm leaving. Like, what's going on here? And then so he fucking, she opened the door and he was naked on his bed.
Jesus Christ.
He pulled the naked man. He was trying to pull the naked man. And like, you know, like, hey dude, like that's some, I mean, you got balls. Like to pull something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Like I couldn't do that. What are you doing in there for 45 minutes? Just sitting there thinking like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen like right now.
Well, no, you're just committing to it at that point. Like you can't like go like wait for 20 minutes and be like, yeah, all right, no, never mind. I'm just gonna put my clothes back on. I'm gonna go out there and do this thing right. And it's like, no, This is the way I want the first interaction to go. This is how it has to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And like, dude, I'm sorry, just being completely honest. Like, was he fucking whacking it for 45 minutes? Because I mean, how you gonna stay hard for 5 minutes? You ain't, you know, got a little blue bill. What are you doing in there? I mean,
I don't know.
Just being honest, I don't retain a 45-minute boner like that.
Well, they say you should call a doctor if it lasts longer than like what, an hour?
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, dude, I mean, that's. And then was asking like, so what happened? Did you see him again? And she was like, yeah. I'm like, wait, you went and you saw him again after that? Like, obviously he doesn't fucking care about you. He just wants to bone you. Like, you ever think that they were gonna go out after that? No, he was just trying to fuck you.
It also makes you wonder. It makes you wonder about like the people who do like the flashing like on the street and the stores and stuff like that. Like, do they think that that's going to lead them to like a healthy relationship, or that's going to like get somebody like, hey, you know what? I like what you're presenting right there. Let's go.
Yeah, like, I love your flaccid penis right now, just shoving in like.
Thank you for that presentation.
Do you have a card? Do you have a business card? I'd like to see you further after this.
I remember this one time I was down in the Virgin Islands, and I was I forget what island it was, but there's like a nude beach down there, and I don't know, it was just like a thing to go to. Like, my wife and I went down there and we're like, just go fucking check it out. Just because like we had never been to a nude beach before, but we knew it wasn't going to be anything pretty, because it's not like something you would see on TV or anything like that. It's going to be a bunch of gross ass people, but we want to see, and people watch because we thought it'd be funny. And yeah, it was fucking ridiculous. Like, there was there was like these like roly poly women there with like pancake titties, just kind of like hanging out like on the beach. Really kind of nasty. And then like right where we sat down, I almost got like a piss, but I had to laugh about it because like this guy was just like obviously very proud of himself. He stood in the water directly in front of where all of us were, because there was a group of us, like right where we were all like set up in our chairs. He stood in the water directly in front of him, reading his book, and his fucking dick was a baby's leg. Like, it just was like, it was this fucking massive thing that went all the way down to his fucking knee. And it's like, yeah, I'd be fucking proud of that thing too, man. But like, we don't need to have it like 20 feet in front of us. Like, can you like shift it downwind or something like that? Just go away.
Yeah. If the wind shifts, does it like a windsock? Like, it just starts blowing?
Oh, I'm sure. It was like one of those inflatable arm flailing tube men.
Tube man. I mean, what is it like? Because you find out like if you go into like a public shower, like if you end up like working at the YMCA or playing basketball, whatever, and you go take a shower, and it's like, dude, why is it like always the dudes that should not be butt ass naked walking around? They don't. Like, is it like just a level of don't give a fuck?
Well, I think it's it's a combination of age and like just not caring. Hey, Chicken Whisperer, welcome to the conversation, buddy. We're connecting you right now. You're the speaker.
Going on, dude?
It's gonna be huge. Welcome to the conversation. You just gotta unmute yourself, Chicken Whisperer.
No, how you guys doing? No, I was sitting back getting ready for dinner. How you doing, Sketch? He's the one. Chilling, man. He's the one that turned me on to your podcast thing. He was like, "You're gonna be doing this," and I'm like, "Cool, I'll come swing through." So I live in Florida, right? And we're like 20 minutes from this nude beach, and it's it's whatever. I mean, like me and the wife went, and you expect to see lots of wrinkles and fat people, and that's pretty much what you had. There was a few decent looking chicks, other than the wife, but my wife, she's like not fucking around. She didn't take off nothing. Me, I got straight balls to the walls, like, all right, I'm gonna walk around like everybody else. Fuck y'all.
Good for you.
But it was great. But no, it's an experience, like you say, right? So it's kind of a trip, that's for sure.
The only nude beach that I've ever been to, it was when I was younger, and like it was when I was like 13 or 14, and I think it was my dad's way of like he took me there to like see a naked woman, but like, you know what I mean?
Not the
like,
good naked women though.
But it was like a subtle way of him, and like my dad wasn't naked, neither was I, obviously, because that would have been fucking weird. But like, I think it was his subtle way of being like, hey, I'm not gonna show you a porno, but you're a dude growing up, like, let's go to the nude beach and see, hey, you might learn about it. You know what I mean? Like, this is
here, I'm going to teach you about anatomy at the nude beach.
Exactly. And I was like, I mean, hey, that's a pretty, it's a pretty good move.
Oh yeah, no, that's a cool move on the dad's part. It's kind of like, here, son, you want to smoke? Here's a pack of marbles. You know, like,
exactly.
that's that kind of a dad move. I mean, like, I remember, like, just like I think the first pair of titties I probably saw was like National Geographic, like some like crazy shit like that. It's like, god, gross. But at the same time,
he took me there, and we had like when I was young, we like played frisbee. Like that was kind of our thing. We go to the park and play frisbee and whatever. So we brought a frisbee to the beach. And I mean, my dad was single too, so I'm sure he was probably like trying to, like, like play frisbee with me. Maybe
he pulled the puppy move with you. He used you as a puppy.
Oh yeah, exactly. And you know what? Hey, I get it. I'm fine. I was a cute kid, I think. So whatever. If I do say so myself, and that's creepy to say. But anyways, so the first boobs and the first vagina that I ever saw was at that beach. He placed a frisbee throw perfectly. Like, it was this chick laying on her back with her legs up, and so it was just out, and he threw it maybe about 5 feet away from her fucking cooch. And so I had to go get it, so I went up and I'm just staring, dude.
In typical 80s fashion, you did a dive and catch.
yeah, exactly. Faced him up. Like, I went and I picked it up. I'm like, I'm sorry. And like, she picked her head up, like, what are you doing? And I was like, sorry, I gotta get the frisbee. And like, fucking ran off. Oh, child.
Wow. Well, this conversation
sounds like you had a good dad right there, man. Yeah. Sounds like he was looking out for you.
Yeah, he was a good dude. He wasn't gonna say anything about it. He's like, I'm just gonna let my son see some cooter real quick. It was good stuff.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, like I just recently, even like my dad was telling me some crazy stuff. Like, no, me and my dad, like we bonded a lot over the past few years, but like in my earlier teen years, we did not get along at all. And
yeah,
it's just funny that now he tells me all these stories, and I'm like, oh my god, you were a fucking degenerate. Like the shit that like he was getting away with doing, like the criminal things and like the fucking lewd acts with women. Like, he's telling me like the shit that I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe you're telling me what you were doing when you were like my age. Like, this is like disturbing. I'm totally intrigued. It's like a train wreck. I can't like stop watching, like listening to what's going on. But at the same time, like, oh my god, this is my dad we're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, I understand being a human, that what the things that you did, because I would probably do the same fucking things right now, but you're my dad.
Yeah. I'm supposed to look up to you, like you look down on me when I make bad choices. You're telling me nothing but all of the bad choices you made. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But like, wow.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go full disclosure. Like, my 21-year-old is far more responsible than I. The I'm probably so yeah, that's probably fairly accurate. And he got far more understanding of my wild side of life than my little children that we have today. I have 3 littles that don't know I was insane, man. Where my oldest son knows absolutely I was insane, man, and watched me come home with all kinds of situations. So yeah, there is a little bit of a difference there for sure. But yeah, it's like, but it worked out in my favor because like my oldest is like much more responsible, doesn't do any drugs. He's like all kind of smart and things like that, and not a degenerate. Whereas, I am definitely a recovering degenerate. So that's how that works.
So Chicken Whisperer, I have to ask you, how many times were you the man in Florida Man head titles on like the news?
I could have been at a whole lot. Matter of fact, so when you guys were talking about some of those places before your dad would take you, I was thinking to myself, well, so there's a couple of places that are a little wilder than that. One in Colorado is called the Mon Chalet, and it is a very exotically interesting place, and has some very interesting suites and a Greek Roman area pool thing going on with, at times, some very attractive people actually involved in that, and sometimes very not attractive people involved in that situation. And then there's a place in Tennessee called Pandora's Forest, and that is another next level place so to speak, which actually you don't really. Matter of fact, I enjoyed it in the off season when me and the wife had complete access to all of it without anybody there. So that was the better time, right? Much better time. But yeah, no, it gets pretty wild out there. And again, as a former degenerate, I've seen my fair share of these things.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, would it be far off to say that they named that horribly and they should have called it Pandora's Box?
No, right. Well, you didn't want to catch anything from it. That's for damn sure. That's absolutely
exactly. No, I mean, same thing here, man. I was a degenerate for sure when living in Austin. I've talked to you, Shawn, about living in Austin and being in bars and doing degenerate fucking things and just to do degenerate things. I mean, like my nickname for a while was Blackout Party Ian. I would just, because we had a party house, so everyone went to my house, wouldn't have to drive anywhere. So I'd be able to just fucking drink, and we'd finish fucking 5-6 handles of fucking whiskey in a night between all 50, 60 of us. So we'd fucking be fucking hammered, plus whatever other alcohol. And so we'd be hammered, and I'd be the drunkest one because I didn't have to drive anywhere, didn't have to go anywhere. So I'd be the one fucking being a little shit and like fucking with people. And like, I had my big ass dog, so I'd have him fuck with them too. And it was horrible. And then you just end up with what you end with at the end of the night.
I remember at one point, a couple of friends of mine, we all rented this house, and we dubbed it the Slaughterhouse because we would just have these crazy parties and pretty much just like bang all kinds of women that would just come by and through, and basically like became like the gimmick where like I ended up getting like a couple of shirts made, and we gave a couple of shirts to like the women as they're leaving. Like, here you go. Like, I stayed at the Slaughterhouse.
And all I got was this shitty shirt.
Yeah. So I stayed at the Slaughterhouse, and all I got was this T-shirt. But yeah, it was great.
Oh yeah, dude. Like there's plenty of dumb shit. I think. Yeah,
we were trying to market our dumb shit though. We were trying to monetize. Oh, no,
like we there's a fucking Facebook page for it was called the Log Cabin, like that, because it was like a big log cabin out in the middle of nowhere. Was where our party house was. So it was like separated from things. Like we had I still have it up on my wall. We had a rule list, kind of like a Fight Club. Like we had like 8 rules for our house. One of the rules is literally do not knock over the neighbor's mailbox, because every time people would pull out of our fucking driveway, someone would knock the mailbox over, and we'd have to replace it every fucking 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh wow!
And then the last rule was, if this is your first night at the cabin, you have to black out. Yeah, dude, it was nuts. I mean, one of the times we got one of our buddies to drink who was already hammered, and it like before that party we had done our 6-month required cleaning of the place because it was a party house. I didn't give a fuck. And so we were cleaning stuff up, and we found a Bud Light bottle that had been on a shelf that we didn't know about, and there was a heat lamp that was pointing in that direction, and maybe a month and a half, 2 months that it was sitting there, so it was fermenting from that heat lamp. So absolutely disgusting. And so we're like, oh, okay. So instead of us taking and pouring it out and fucking throwing it away, we're like, what pieces of shit can we be to our friends? So we took the bottle and put it in the fridge. We're like, yeah, we're gonna put this in the fridge and chill it, and then later have someone drink it. And so later on in the night, our buddy Harrison, he was hammered drunk, and we're like, oh, let's pull up the beer bong. And so we were like, oh yeah, we'll take a couple beer bongs, and so he doesn't see anything wrong with it. And then so we're like, okay, cool, it's his turn. We're like, Harrison, come drink this. And so we poured the bottle, the fermented Bud Light, in the beer bong, and then poured a little bit of Sprite or something in there to cut it a little bit. He beer bonged the whole thing, and his first thing that he said after he did it was, "Who put Four Loko in the beer bong?"
Oh shit!
So that just goes to show you what Four Loko tastes like.
Welcome, AW. Yeah, you get your hand up. You go right ahead and you speak. Welcome to the conversation, buddy.
Thank you for having me. I have a question about the slaughterhouse. So, upon reading the rules to the participants, did you, in your experience, ever have anyone who said, you know, these rules are not for me, I think I'm going to go home? Or did every single person consent to the rules after hearing them?
Well,
you're talking
about slaughterhouse. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'll start with the slaughterhouse didn't really have rules for what we were doing. It was just more or less like, if you were a piece of shit, you got thrown out. If you didn't want to get thrown out, you got beat up and then thrown out. Like it was like one of those types of scenarios. But like, you know, you just be a good person, hang out, have a great time. Everything went really well. And it works out a lot better if you bring lots of women with you. Like it just like I don't know. We treated it like a frat house, but it was only like 3 of us. That kind of like we would just get some. We would make all kinds of mixed drinks. We would have cases of beer, and we would order food, and just make sure it was like a fun, cool, happening vibe for everybody. And you know, like, it always worked out. Like you know, for just you know, for myself, for sure.
During the experience of the slaughterhouse, did you ever have a party goer who did not wish to imbibe any alcohol, and yet, in spite of that, was still cool?
We definitely had people who didn't want to drink, you know, and that's totally fine. Doesn't matter, you know, if they're totally cool and they're having a great time and like not bothering anybody, yeah, of course, hang out, have fun. You know, but like it was the people. I always called them like mother hens. Like when there was like a pack of girls that would show up, and there would be one that went and always like no, don't go in there with him. No, don't go downstairs. I have to keep you within a 20-foot radius. I have to keep you within my vision of sight. You know, and those are the ones that tend to ruin the evening. And like those are the ones where I'm like, okay, well, can you just leave? And because like no one really is having fun with you,
or you get the drunkest in the room and be like, hey, take one for the team, go get her distracted from the rest of her group so we can all fuck the rest of them.
That was one of the situations for sure. Or it would just become so annoying that like, all right, just all of you go, please.
Yeah.
You know, so there's times that we let them win just so that way like a woman would stop being annoying in that scenario. But like so that was my experience. But like Sketchy, I don't know if you had a different experience when it came to like your house.
Well, with rules, most of the rules were just like, hey, don't fuck up the rest of the houses down on the street because
or the mailbox.
These crazy, yeah, the mailboxes. But like, you know, one of them was don't break shit unless Ian is involved. Like, because we would break shit all the time, because it was a party house. We didn't give a fuck about anything. So, like, there was one night where we fucking broke the ceiling fan in the living room because we were all drunk as fuck. And we're like, oh, let's just push our heads into the fucking ceiling fan. So it was literally 30 of us taking turns jumping into the ceiling fan, and then it broke and fell off the fucking ceiling. Yeah, we were idiots. There was another time where there were people like in line to use the bathroom. Like the way the upstairs was, because it was double story, and so the second story was basically my room, was kind of in an open loft area, and then I just had a bed in there, and then there was like a couch and whatever, and we fucked around in there. And then my roommate, he had this like long closet area that was on the side of the house that he lived in. He just slept in there, and it was like this long ass closet. So I basically would make him, every day that he walked out of the closet, I'd have to, I told him, since you live in the closet, every morning you have to walk out and say, I love pussy, because he lived in the closets. He's coming out every day. So like I made him announce that. But then anyway, so we had a bathroom that was upstairs there was a line for it, and I had to piss, and I'm like, this is my fucking house. And I was blackout party Ian. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just piss out the fucking window. So I pissed out the window, like, that was next to my bed, and that window overlooked the front patio. And so I just started pissing out the window, not caring who's downstairs. And my drummer at the time was like just started dating this new chick, and they were walking into the house as I was pissing. She didn't notice that I was pissing, which I'm sorry, but that's kind of your fault. You don't hear it, and you don't notice a stream of liquid coming down in front of your face. And she walked directly into it, like I'm like dead center on her face, all through her head. Like I just pissed on her head. And I mean, I wasn't aiming for it, but fucking whatever. And so
you baptized her into the house, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here. You're blessed. I'm sketchy Jesus. And so I didn't know that this had happened, and there was all a commotion going on downstairs because I did that. I didn't know, and so I walked downstairs all like, sweet, I just took piss, let's drink some whiskey. So I come downstairs, and first thing I hear when I come downstairs is, Ian's a fucking dick. And I was like, what the fuck did I do to you? Like, go fuck you. You walk into my house, you call me an asshole? Like, fuck yourself. And she was like, you pissed on me. And I was like, oh. And so I looked at my drummer, and I was like, did I piss on you? And he said, nope, you're good. You didn't piss on me. I was like, sweet. And so I just turned around and started drinking more whiskey.
So I'll share a story. I'll share a story that paints me in a terrible light. And
I just said I pissed on a woman, so I think you're good.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't cross that line, but like I definitely pissed a lot of people off. And it was where I was probably in my early 20s, and I was living up in the Poconos at the time with a bunch of buddies. And like in the Poconos, like, you know, if you're familiar with like what the Poconos are, it's kind of like, you know, if you see like The Office, like that's like Scranton. I was probably like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes outside of Scranton type. That's like the Poconos kind of. So like there's like no police or nothing like that, so you could drive around with like pounders in the cup holders and just kind of like and it was like an unregulated thing. You just kind of like went around and you drove around the neighborhoods, you found house parties, and you would just go inside. Like I don't know, we would just find a house party going on. We just thought like, hey, you know what? Let's just go and walk in. And we would do this all the time, and then just kind of make friends with people who were in there. The one time we came across one. And it was a bunch of like young girls and like the young guys. It was like they were probably like 5 or 6 years younger than us, but like no, maybe not. I don't know. Like what if I was like probably I might have been mid-20s or something, because they definitely were in their 20s. And so then we're at the house, and they have a DJ booth going downstairs, like a fog machine, and like there's music blasting. So like we're down there, we're dancing with girls, and we're drinking all their beer, and then next thing you know, like the girl I'm dancing with is like disappeared, and like all the other like people that were down there have all just kind of like migrated out of there. We're like, well, fuck this is fucking bullshit. And I really had to piss, and I didn't know where like the bathroom was or nothing like that, and like I wasn't gonna be the guy just pissing in a corner. So instead, what did I do? I went behind the DJ booth and I pissed on all the DJ equipment. So I pissed on all that shit, and then the thing stopped playing music. So then I'm like, oh shit. So then I just had a, it didn't like, I don't know, it didn't click for me that it was it stopped working. So then I went upstairs, and I just went and got another beer out of the fridge. I'm walking around the house, and then the girl, I guess, who lives there comes upstairs and said, someone pissed all, or they said someone spilled a beer all over the DJ equipment. Like, oh yeah, that's what it was. And so then the party goes on, just like hanging out, and this is still at the same party, same house, same party. I didn't leave yet. I'm there.
You're like, I'm staying here.
Yeah, and we're all hanging out like the back deck now. At one point, I guess everybody went inside the house, and it's like me and like a couple of the guys I came with. We're all hanging out on the deck by like their pool, and I'm just like, fuck, I gotta take a piss. I just like whipped it out and started pissing right into the pool, and like. And my friends are looking at me like, dude, you're an asshole. And I'm like, what?
Yep.
What's wrong? And it didn't click for me at the time because I was so hammered. I was so drunk that like these things just didn't register that like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. You should respect somebody else's place. And like, no, it just didn't click for me. So then the next day I was at work, and like those guys they pulled up, and they were like, dude, you're a fucking asshole. You were going to get us kicked out of there so fast and this and that. And like, after that, I was like, hey, you know what? I should probably be a little bit more respectful about these types of scenarios. And that was probably one of the last house parties I ever went to.
Yeah, I never learned that lesson until I just left Austin. I was just always a dick. And like, one thing I will say is before I moved into that party house, like I had lived in Austin for maybe like year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Before then, I moved out there with my girlfriend at the time from here in California and moved out there. And then before I moved into that, like maybe 3-4 months before I moved into that party house, that girl dumped me while I was on tour. Like just said, hey, yeah, I'm taking a plane flight and getting all my stuff out of the thing. I can't do this anymore, and I'm leaving. And she left our dog that we together in the apartment by himself for like 3 days. So he fucking tore shit up, shit everywhere, like didn't have food. Like it was a fucked up situation. So I was like, because I was always kind of like the nice guy. Like I did some shit here and there growing up, but like I was always like the nicer guy. Like, yeah, whatever you want, babe. Like, oh. And then after that, like I moved into that party house with a bunch of like friends, and I told myself, I was like, you know what? I'm done being the nice guy. I'm gonna be an asshole. I'm gonna say what I feel. I'm gonna act the way I feel, and if I feel like doing it, I'm gonna do it. And I'm just gonna try this out because I haven't ever been this guy. I was always courteous and a nice kid, whatever. And I'm telling you, I got more friends, laid more, and more respect from people for just being me and doing fucking stupid shit. So I mean, that probably says a lot about the people that I was hanging out with, but it was an interesting lesson in like being straightforward, I guess. And then
it is. It definitely makes a difference with like just kind of unforgivingly like yourself, and just kind of like this is who I am. Take it or leave it. I'm not going to change for you, and because like at this point in your life, like you've kind of already figured out like, hey, that was a dumb move, or this was like stupid, like, you've grown from like the shitty experiences that we've been talking about, and then like you just kind of became like who you are, and then at that point, people are either going to be your friends or they're not going to be your friends. And I can honestly tell you that there's been plenty of situations for myself where I thought someone was my friend, but the minute I started just completely being honest of who I am, they stopped talking to me. And you know what? Like that's totally fine, because you know what? That's a relationship that was going to require too much maintenance, or just something that wasn't necessary in my life. So like, I would rather have something so casual and simple that like, is natural for me. Like, like, and whether it's somebody I hang out with every day or somebody I see like once every couple of years, like if I can be myself and like we are best buds, then great. That's a relationship worth maintaining.
Yeah, it's one of those things with me. Like there are very few things in life that I regret, because now, do I think that I made the right choices in a lot of situations? No, but at the same time, I don't regret it, because it makes me the person that I am today. And if I didn't do those things and go down that path of this and learning, I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I have now, and I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have been in the situation that I'm in right now. It all like kind of, not to sound hokey, but it all kind of happened for a reason, and I think that, I'm completely glad that I did that when I did, because I would die if I went through all those antics now.
Right. No, I totally agree. And I was something you just said just brought me back to like one of the conversations that I had with this guy over in Johnson City that like took off and like left me, he died and dashed me the bill. Where they're just speaking about like life choices and things that really shaped your life. When he was talking about the whole Roe v. Wade thing, and like, a woman should have the right for this and that, blah blah blah, and like body autonomy and all those things. So like, I was agreeing with a lot of what he had to say, but the way he brought it up, because like he was with somebody who ended up like getting pregnant from like his seed and then like getting an abortion. So you could tell it was fucking with his head. Like the whole situation did not settle right in his brain. And I told him, I was like, you know what, man, I totally feel for you. I understand, because, you know, I can honestly say my life is so much better because I have my 2 kids. And, you know, as much as I don't like abortion, I'm pro-life, but at the same time, I am also body autonomy. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and try and tell somebody what they can and can't do with their body. You know, it's like, it's totally their choice. I might not like it. I don't have to agree with it, but, like, you know, I'm not going to be the one that goes and tells them they can't do it. You know,
I think with that, I think it's just it's one of those things where it's like using it as birth control is a big thing for me. And
I understand that. Yeah, like there has to be limitations on these things without a doubt. But like there's also time frames. Come on, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this topic, obviously. Just because we spent enough on the previous. But I just wanted to bring it up because this guy brought it up in a sense where he was talking about things that could have happened in his life that I think he regrets. Yeah, but like, you know, would have made his life better. And I told him flat out, like, you know, unforgivingly, I'm like, yeah, man, I totally understand where you're coming from. My life became so much better once I had my 2 kids. And, you know, I didn't realize I was missing out on all that stuff before not having them. You know, like, you get this sense of like kind of like, I don't know, it's like a greediness or selfishness. Let's call it that, where it's like, oh, well, it's got to be about me. What about my stuff? Me. And then it's like, it becomes all about like, well, you know what? That doesn't matter so much to me anymore. It's weird how that switches. There's like a little switch that goes off in your brain and you stop thinking about like me, and it becomes about like, well, are they going to be provided for? Am I doing all right by them? Like, and like, you just want to hang out with your kids. That's just more fun for me now. Like, you know, so like that's to me like the life altering state that people are avoiding at times. I feel like when like they're totally ready, they're totally capable of like following through if like, you know, they wanted to. But like, you know, for some reason, some people still get freaked out. And like one of the big ones that I can even I can accuse myself of this, using this as an excuse, was like always worrying about financials. You know, like you're never ever in your life going to be financially stable. There's not a single time in your life you're going to feel like you are 100% stable and ready. And you know what? This is the perfect time for me to have a child because I have enough money in the bank. I've paid off my car and my mortgage is at a reasonable amount now. So it's like, there's that does not exist. You're always going to be in debt. You're always going to have this next bill coming up, or you're going to have this repair that you need to do to this or that. The thing is, you just make it work.
Yeah, I mean, that I can understand his point as well. I mean, like, there's been, I think, 2 or 3 different girls that I've been with, they've made that decision. And, you know, when that happened, I was more liberal in my beliefs. And, you know, I definitely, you know, well, you know, it's her decision, you know, going based off of what, you know, society had kind of, you know, deemed the correct way to think, you know. And,
you followed the narrative.
Yeah, and being younger and not really having all the life experiences and understanding all that, I was like, yeah, well, I mean, it's her choice. I mean, like, and then, you know, going off of your point too of like thinking about yourself and thinking about the situations I would ready and bringing a kid in, and, you know, all this, like, I would think about it like, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously, if you've heard any of the stories that I've just told in this thing, I obviously was not ready to be a great father. So
I wasn't ready to grow up. I wanted to be a Toys R Us kid for the rest of my life.
I was still pissing off balconies and shit, you know, like, so, I mean, I can understand, and that's why it's like those are the couple of things that I kind of regret a little bit, because, I mean, I'd love to have a little kid running around, you know, I mean, I love to go, you know, I played baseball when I was a kid. I'd love to have a little kid, take them, you know, be a coach for their team and watch them play baseball, you know, and raise them right and do all that. But, like, at the same time, I would have been attached to that person for life. And I, you know, obviously those relationships didn't work out. And I know that if I had gone through that, then my life would have been completely different. And again, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have been as happy as I am in my life now because of those, like, I would have been happy on a different level because having a kid and raising them. It brings you a level of happiness that, you know, I don't have right now. But at the same time, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And I think if I would have had a better hold on my, you know, my beliefs and, you know, my structure and stuff like that I have now, I probably would have been like, well, hey, you know, have the kid, and, you know, either we'll take care of it, or my parents, you know, can take care of them, or, you know, or whatever, and come up with that situation. But I think it was just what I had been fed by society, and, like, especially living in, you know, liberal areas, you know, like, you know, then it's like, oh yeah, you know, my body, my choice, you know, woman's right to choose and all that. And I'm like, and now just thinking back about it, I'm like, yeah, but, like, you, like, killed the kid, you know? So it's a weird conundrum of, like, I get it, I understand, but it's like, it all comes down to, like, you have a choice to, I mean, obviously, you know, like, you know, rape or incest or anything like that's a completely different, that's a, you know, molestation, it's a completely different, you know, topic. But I mean, when it's a consensual thing, that the basis of consent is you are consenting to, you know, to partake in that action. You have that decision, so your choice that you have starts there, and then you make a choice besides that. And then you didn't think, oh, you know, I let this dude nut inside me, maybe I should take a plan B just in case, because I made this decision to do this.
Right. Well,
You know
that
what
would
I mean?
take a little bit of sense of, like, you know, that would take, like, some common sense and, like, some, like, thought that like, you know, to go into, like, making sure that you were being I don't know, responsible, you know, like
yeah, and
all
those girls were
things.
fucking. If those girls were fucking me at that point, there probably was not too much common sense going on.
Yeah, no, actually, you bring this up, and it just flashed me back to a tweet that I saw this past week. I talked about it in the last Sippin with Shawn episode that I did,
Yeah.
where I was talking about this article that the New York Post put up, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen. It was the one where the mother of a 9-year-old girl who got raped by an illegal immigrant. The mother was defending the rapist to the media and the police, and
Disgusting.
but then the 9-year-old girl got pregnant, and she turned 10, and they always have to throw this in their cross state lines, and got an abortion. And the part that was crazy to me about the entire topic was the fact that it was you know, like the mother was defending the rapist, but it turned out that the rapist's name is on the apartment that they're living in. So obviously that means that's the mom's boyfriend. So, like, or some type of relation like that, where the mother doesn't want to get kicked out and go on the street, so she's defending the guy who just defiled her fucking 10-year-old daughter. And like no one's coming after the mom or anything like that. Instead, what happened was, I saw a tweet from none other than Ron Perlman, and we're talking about, like, you know, like an uber liberal tough guy, like,
that
this
doesn't
guy,
understand shit.
Yeah, no, like, so, like, this guy, he acts like he's like a tough, like, gun-toting, like, I'm a biker, you know, the whole Sons of Anarchy type vibe, like, he like you know, a tough conservative type deal. But no, like, he's a liberal, like, he's an artsy guy, like, you know, like, he went to probably the thespian school and shit like that, like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's funny that so, like, just, you know, sorry to interrupt you, but like, on that point, I think it's funny that so many of these, like, action stars and, like, this and, like, blah blah blah, like, no one realizes they're fucking drama kids. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these actors and a lot of these people, they're fucking drama kids that just have a certain look or can act this way. Like, they're not the people that they portray. You know what I mean?
Yes. Now,
so
what he had tweeted was that, like, you know, like, obviously, like, it would make everybody or anyone really, really upset to like, you know, hear this news of the young girl that got, like, defiled, like, from, like, this guy and stuff like that. Like, it should make you upset, like, and bring tears to your eyes. All this. Anybody would disagree. And then the gaslighting starts, and he says, but there's an entire political party who thinks that this girl should have gone through and carried this baby to term. And I was like, wait a second. Who said that? Who's saying that? Has anyone said that?
No one says that. And honestly, if you want to
gaslighting. All it does is it's trying to convince people that, you know, I prefer to consider myself a conservative more so than a Republican, just for the fact that, like, this way I can always say, like, yeah, you know, I have conservative values, but I can also tell the Republicans to fuck themselves, you know, like, you know, because I don't have to agree 100% with what they're saying either.
Yeah, and that's why I consider myself more libertarian as well,
right?
Because I mean, honestly, a lot of the ideals that I have are more libertarian. Like, the government, get the fuck out of my life. Like, I'm gonna make the decisions that I make as long as I don't kill someone, steal.
But like
shit,
to make that accusation saying that, like, there is an entire political party that believes that this woman should, or this girl, this child should have carried a baby to term, is complete gaslighting. All right, if you want to say any kind of group would have said that, maybe Muslims would have probably said something like that. You know, or like, you know, I don't know, maybe like someone who was like maybe Amish. I think the Amish would probably have like the child carried,
or maybe Catholics, which, you know, that's Pelosi's thing, right?
Well, you know what? Maybe like a really, really true to the religion Catholic, like old school Catholic, maybe. But honestly, I think even like almost, I would say like 99% of like Catholic families at this point in the United States would be like, hey, we need to go and get this taken care of right away, you know, like a plan B or some kind of like, you know, chemical, like, you know, situation, get it handled that way. Because I mean, like, you're not gonna wait till like it's, you know, forming into like, you know, bone and muscle to like remove this thing. You know, you're gonna take care of it right away, you know, if you're responsible again, you know, like, because you don't want your child to have to lose their childhood because they were defiled by a degenerate, terrible human being. Like,
and also if it's you know, if it's, you know, if it is the mom's boyfriend or, you know, whatever, then, you know, if you're talking about good parenting, then it should start with that. There's so many different levels, and if, you know, this is an illegal immigrant, then there's another fucking level of that. It's like, so you're teaching your kid that it's okay to break the laws of the country and just, you know, say, fuck it, whatever, and let this person come in and then have them live in your house, harbor an illegal immigrant, and then fuck them, and then, you know, and then you protect them after they do this fucking heinous thing to your daughter. Like, they're the levels of bad parenting and bad morals that you're teaching this kid already. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, no matter how you look at it, this kid lost part of their childhood without a doubt, because of the fact that, like, they went through this heinous fucking like act. You know, like the fact this happened, and the guy admitted to it twice. He said that it happened more than once. He said it happened a couple of times, and then the mother still said, no, that's all lies. No, the guy fucking admitted to it happening multiple times. You could probably go on my timeline and find the article. I'm pretty sure I shared it on there. And yeah, like, it was a New York Post thing. It was just absolutely disgusting that had happened, and people are blaming Republicans after the entire thing. Like, how do they make any kind of sense out of that is beyond me.
To me, it's not only gaslighting about that, but it's like, okay, so that political party, quote unquote, that you're demonizing by saying all this stuff, which that's not even true, but you're not even pointing to the fact of what they would originally say, which is what I was saying. Like, why are, like, if you know what would have stopped that situation in its tracks? Don't let that illegal immigrant in here, and then that wouldn't have fucking happened.
Like, sure, and the mother, you know what I mean? The mother could have just like realized, hey, this guy is a toxic human being. Maybe I shouldn't be like living in his apartment, you know, where he's like, he could defile my daughter, because I can recognize this is not a good scenario or a good situation for me or my family. You know, like, there's so many times that this could have probably been prevented, and the mother didn't make the right choice. And like the fact that she stuck to her guns and defended this guy, it's just insane to me.
I will give credit where it's due. You want to protect, and you want to stand up for your significant other. You want to stand up for them if you think they're being wronged. But that has a limit, man. Like when there's like, who's more important, your boyfriend or your daughter? You know what I mean? Like, so like,
right, and that's the part that bothers me the most. Like, no matter who you're with, like, even if it was a long-term relationship, if the spouse abuses or defiles the children in any which way, like, that immediately is like, no, you're written off, you're done. Like, there, you don't get a second chance, you don't get any defense after something like that. Like, that's just like, no, like, you've lost all your rights.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Wood chipper feet first.
Go ahead, chicken.
Yeah,
my shit would have been wood chipper. I mean, obviously the mom don't need to be in charge of the little kid no more, but the dude needs to be took out back and shot. So, like, I don't know, you know, and that's the way to handle that shit, you know.
Yeah, I would hate for the kid to go into the system like that, but I mean, like, the system might actually put her in a better family situation, you know, where like a family that might actually, like, you know, want a kid. I know couples that can't have kids and they would love to be able to like adopt like a child that needed a good home, you know. And like,
I mean, that's kind of our situation. Me and my wife, like, I mean, we're both getting up there in age, and you know, her having a kid, you know, at this point might not be the right move for, you know, because, you know, when women get older, it's you know, trickier for them to, you know, have children, and, you know, there could be defects, you know, all that stuff. So, I mean, it's, you know, like we've talked about it, if we, you know, if there's a good chance that if we end up having a kid, it's going to be through adoption.
Yeah, and you know, that's respectable too, because like these are kids that, you know, had shitty hands dealt to them, you know, and they don't deserve to fucking just like sit there and rot because like their parents fucking suck, or like, you know, or any kind of situation like that. So, you know, if it's noble, and it's a good thing if like you're able to do something like that. I mean, like, you know, most people obviously want to have biological kids, but like, if you're unable to, that's the next best thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and it's just crazy. You see, like, I think it was like maybe within that first week of the Roe overturning, there were, you know, the people out there that were, you know, pro-life, you know, out there, you know, protesting, and, you know, or not even really protesting, just demonstrating and having signs like, you know, hey, you know, we'll adopt your kid, you know, and so, and will I completely, you know, see the forest for the trees and be like, yeah, there were a couple of them that were a little awkward looking. So, I mean, I get the jokes and I get the memes, but there were people out there like making this huge deal about them wanting to like take your baby. It's like, no, that's not what they were saying. They were like, don't kill the kid. Like, if you don't want
that's
the kid,
exactly. But they were mocking. They were like the left was mocking those people. Yeah, they were mocking these people who were just like, you know, out there like protesting, saying like, no, don't kill the kid. We'll take it. Like we want a kid, you know? And like the thing is, like, they keep on talking about like population control and all that type of stuff. The fact is that the birth rate is actually very low. I think that Elon Musk ended up posting something about that a while back, where, you know, compared to previous generations, like, we're actually on the low side for births, and a lot of it has to do probably with the rise of LGBT type stuff, and like like, you know, people just thinking, people being told that we're overpopulated. It's like, no, we're not overpopulated. Look what China did. China, you know, they limited it down to like one child, and, you know, like, now, like, you know, the next generation of China is going to actually be underpopulated because there's going to be a lot more people that die than are born.
Yeah, and I mean, it, you know, and it sucks. It sucks too, because there's so much politicization in our society, which, I mean, you know, politics is in everything, which, I mean, it sucks that it has to be, but it kind of is, no matter what way you look at it. Like, but it sucks that it's so politicized and so, you know, one side or the other, that like no one understands nuance. You know what I mean? Like, even in just this conversation about Roe, we've been like, yeah, like, I understand decisions, and I understand that, like, the way some people feel about anything, and you have your opinion, that's fine, but that doesn't change this fact. Like, it's so nuanced, and in the party that's supposed to be for diversity of thought and tolerance and acceptance and love, which is the liberals or the left party, they show none of that. And it's like, you either believe what I believe or you are literally Hitler.
Yeah. So I don't mean to cut you off right there, but I have about like 5% battery left, so we're gonna start wrapping this one up.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Chicken Whisperer for joining. Definitely tune back in. AW, again, thank you for listening for a majority of the conversation and whatnot, and chiming in and having a couple of questions and whatnot. It keeps the conversation going for sure. So me and Ian definitely appreciate that. And we're doing this every Monday evening at 8 p.m. We are getting together and we're shooting the shit, and it's pretty much whatever topics kind of come up. I mean, like I put U.S. national news, reality TV, entertainment, because those are the options that kind of are most relative to what we end up talking about. But it really can kind of cover just about anything. Like today we talked about like our early 20s and being complete degenerates. So that was the majority of the conversation. So
that's entertainment right there for you.
Yeah, seriously, you guys get to see a totally different side to us for sure. But with that, I want to thank you guys for listening. Me and Ian, we're doing the Whiskey Capitalist podcast. We're gonna start putting out actual episodes on YouTube. I think starting like next week. And you can be able to check out all the stuff that we're posting on our Twitter pages. We have the Whiskey Capitalist podcast Twitter page now for keeping up with all that stuff. So make sure you go and you follow that. I think Ian and I both shared it a bunch of times today because it's brand new, as of like today, brand new. And we'd really appreciate the follows and just keeping up with all of us, so we can all kind of like get to know one another and have more conversations like this for sure.
Yeah. So the Whiskey Capitalist podcast, it's Whiskey Cap Pod on Twitter. Go check that out. Also, we're going to be putting more links and more stuff, but we have kind of a splash page for our initial links. It's solo.to / the Whiskey Capitalist. Go there, and when we start doing the podcast, it's going to be on my podcast channel, Til Death Podcast. It's the podcast that my wife and I do, and we're just going to have the Whiskey Capitalist as an offshoot from that. We're probably going to be doing an episode a week or episode every 2 weeks, and then we're going to do live streams here and there as well. So anyone that is involved in these Twitter spaces and anyone that would like to join the live streams as well, we can send links out to you and figure that out if you want to come in and talk about a topic. But it's going to be pretty much the same shit we're doing here, just visually and
with visuals.
Yes, with visuals. So you get to put a face to the degeneracy. But yeah, just on YouTube, it's just Til Death Podcast, and there's merch for that. There's all those things too, which I think we have a first initial idea for a Whiskey Capitalist.
Oh, we have a great
t-shirt.
Shirt. We have a great shirt idea that we're going to be getting out right away, which is it's going to be awesome.
I'm just in the process. We just made the logo. I'm in the process of making the layers and all the stuff for our live streams and all of our podcast stuff, and then we should be up and ready. Hopefully, after we do the Twitter space within the next day or two after that, we'll be able to do a live stream and start that up. So, I am. My Twitter name is not Sketchy Jesus. It is at Ian Til Death. And then just follow that. I got links for everything on there too, so you can go there and check out all the other stuff. And if you also need any animation or video stuff or whatever, I'm trying to start my own little thing, so go check that out as well. I think the links are up there as well.
Yeah, both AW and Chicken Whisperer some follows, so you guys can see where my profile is, and we'll all stay in touch. Great job, everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Take care, Shawn, and thank you, Chicken Whisperer. And go team. Thank you, Chicken Whisperer, and thank you, AW. I appreciate you guys being involved here.
All right.
See y'all next week, guys.
Yeah, buddy. All right.
Absolutely.
Later.
Take care.
Take care, guys.